That's not funny.
Alright, man, that's enough, okay?
That wasn't weird.
What?
Manny.
That's gross.
No, it's not gross.
When you die, your body stops giving a single fuck about what everyone thinks and just lets all its bodily fluids run like a leaky sewer. Your corpse farts and pisses until there's no gases left in your entire body. And somehow everyone seems okay with that because, well, you're dead after all. When you'd fart like that on the train, alive and well, everyone would think you're completely insane. But why is that? Farting is a relief, so why would it be so weird to do in public? That is where the movie Swiss Army Man comes in. In this essay, I'll explain why you should always fart like nobody's watching. In short, the movie is about a guy who is stranded on an island and uses a dead body who he believes to be alive to survive. The movie starts when Hank, played by Paul Dano, is planning on hanging himself when he sees a body lying on the beach, which is played by Daniel Radcliffe. Yes, really, Radcliffe plays a dead body. Hank walks over, but the man appears to be dead. He tries to hang himself again, but then the body starts farting, and Hank sees an opportunity to ride the corpse across the Atlantic, which he somewhat successfully does, as he wakes up on land that seems to be closer to home. He drags the corpse along with him, but it won't stop farting. So he puts a cork up its ass. Simple yet effective. They get to a cave and Hank screams for help, but when no help comes, he seems to be giving up hope. The next morning, when Hank has drunk from the corpse's mouthwater and got upset when he ran out, the corpse suddenly starts talking back.
Okay, buddy.
Its name is Manny, and he doesn't seem to remember much from his past life. Actually, he doesn't know much about life in general, so Hank sets out to teach him the basics. Manny has no filter and has the curiosity of a child. Hank teaches Manny that everything poops and that humans shit their pants when they die. He tells about love and the purpose of life, and Manny, having no filter, confronts Hank with a very apt analysis of his being.
You want to go home so you can have love.
Yeah.
But you ran away because nobody loves you.
That's not true.
You're broken and empty and dirty and smelly and useless and old. You're like trash, right?
Shut up.
Hank gets upset and tells Manny that he can't just say everything that comes in his head, because that's bad talking. A moment later, Hank tells Manny about sex and women, and when Manny suddenly gets a stiffy, they're both grossed out at first, but Hank tries to calm him down and explains that this happens to everyone. This eventually leads to a conversation about masturbation and how masturbation makes you happy. Hank tells him a story about how his father told him that every time he masturbated, his lifespan would shorten a bit. Then his mom made a joke that if he masturbated enough, they could die at the same time. Again, Manny comes to an apt analysis.
And so now, when you masturbate, you think about your mom.
Hank says that that's weird, but Manny doesn't understand why. Because if thinking about your mom makes you happy, and masturbating makes you happy too, why shouldn't the two go together? And shouldn't his mom want him to be happy? Manny kind of makes a good point here. Why would you refrain from doing something only because people think it's weird? It's almost like it's exactly the same as it is with farting. Trying to hold something in only because societal norms want you to. Around halfway through the movie, the two fall into a pit after being chased by a bear, and Manny accidentally sees a picture of a beautiful girl on Hank's phone. A picture that has been shown a couple of times before. The girl is someone who Hank has seen on the bus many times, but he never dared to talk to her. So he just took a very non-consensual picture which he uses as his phone background. Manny immediately falls in love with the girl and claims that he might remember more of his past life if he can just look at her a bit longer. But because they have to save the battery, Hank dresses up as the girl instead. Just dressing up won't cut it, however. So using Manny as his toolbox, Hank builds the entire bus out of things he finds in the woods to recreate the lively scene of the girl entering the bus. At first, it's not working too well. Manny isn't used to the norms of human interaction yet, so when they reenact the scene, Hank plays as the girl and Manny blatantly says that he wants to put his mouth on her mouth. Hank says that it's a bit too early for that, so then Manny suggests putting his penis in her, but that's even worse. Hank realizes that he first has to teach Manny how to behave on the bus, which turns into a very beautiful scene where Manny finds beauty in riding the bus.
So this is it. This is the life I've forgotten. Oh, when I get back home, I'm gonna ride the bus every day.
When they reenact the same scene afterwards, Manny turns into a rhisologist and smoothly gets the girl. Or, in this case, Hank. In that moment, Manny remembers the girl's name, Sarah. Both Manny and Hank are happy, and the scene transitions into an amazing montage. We see Hank using Manny as a way to survive, by creating fire or using him as a shower. Manny also has the ability to shoot stones to kill birds and little animals for food. But besides that, we also see Hank and Manny having fun. Hank builds a do-it-yourself cinema and creates friends made out of sticks to sit there with them. They pretend to drive a car together, go on dinner dates, and dance with each other, with Hank constantly being dressed up as Sarah. Eventually, they find a bottle of vodka and decide to throw a party for themselves and all their stickman friends. Supposedly, everything they're doing is so Manny will remember his past, and he can guide them home. But when you're watching them, dancing with smiles on their faces, you realize that they have long forgotten the world and are no longer searching for home, because they can both be their insane selves, and have already found a new home here. The final third of the movie is all about getting back to the real world. But before they do, there are two important moments. The first is when they crawl over a pipe to cross the river, but fall down halfway. Manny, being a corpse, naturally starts sinking, so Hank has to save him. When he gets a hold of him, he stares into his eyes, remembers their great moments together, and kisses him on the mouth. It's a strangely beautiful moment, eventually leading to Hank releasing the cork from Manny's butt. All the gas that's been held in for so long comes out, so it propels them out of the water and into safety. And so, Manny's farts end up saving their life. The second moment is a conversation between the two, not long afterwards. Manny talks about farting, but Hank still says he can't do that in front of others.
You can't use your gas in front of other people.
What? Why not?
Because it's weird. People don't like other people's farts.
Is that why you don't fart in front of me?
No. I just like to do it alone or hold it in. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's so sad. That's so sad. What are we even going back home for? It sounds like you're not allowed to do anything back there.
And I think that that's precisely the point that Swiss Army Man is trying to make. Society's norms and values make us hide parts of ourselves which we would have been better off showing, because true happiness can only be achieved by the ability of completely being yourself, even though the rest of the world thinks you're insane. But even though they might be better off by themselves in the woods, they eventually stumble back into the real world, into none other than Sarah's backyard. The first to discover the pair of them is Sarah's daughter, and for a minute, Manny is more alive than he ever was. But Hank immediately realizes how crazy they must seem, so he cuts Manny off. Manny now believes that he was weird all along and wasn't made for this world. So he turns back into a corpse and doesn't reply to Hank anymore. Not much later, a lot of people start to arrive. The police, the media, and Hank's father, because they believe the corpse was Hank's, so they called him to confirm the identity. Hank watches as everyone seems to be completely disgusted by the whole scene. The reporter wants to interview Hank, but that's when he decides to stop caring about what everyone thinks, and he embraces his identity. He grabs Manny's body and takes him back into the woods. Everyone starts chasing him, and naturally this leads to them finding all of Hank's creations. This is when you, as a viewer, also realize how completely mental Hank has been all along, imagining everything in his head and using a corpse as a friend. But at the same time, the viewer is on Hank's side, knowing how happy he was when he was with Manny. and so the movie has successfully achieved its goal: to distance you from societal norms to such an extent that you are now on the side of being your complete self and not holding anything in, even if others think you're nuts. The ending of the movie is a happy one. Hank drags Manny all the way to the beach, where the police, the media, his father, and Sarah and her family eventually find him. Manny is still not moving, so the policeman takes Hank to guide him back. But Hank, having accepted his identity, lets out a massive fart. He laughs and admits it was him. The people around him react disgusted, but Hank doesn't care. While walking back, they hear another fart, but this one isn't Hank's. It turns out that Hank's fart has made Manny come back for one final goodbye, in the form of a fart. The reactions are mixed. The policeman and the reporter react shocked and disgusted. Sarah's daughter cries in laughter, Sarah herself stares in disbelief, and the father smiles, finally accepting his son the way he is. As the waves take Manny into the ocean again, he lets out all of his gases to propel himself across the water, like he did in the beginning. Both Hank and Manny are happy, and they have learned to never hold anything in for the sake of others. They've learned that you should always fart like nobody is watching. The last two shots of the movie show our two protagonists. Manny has the biggest grin on his face while racing off into the distance, and Hank watches his friend sail away, finally turning his expression into a big smile.